2024-25 firmly belonged to Liverpool. Anfield lifted the Premier League trophy, and the 25-26 season is all to play for. Will there be a big surprise? Will Arsenal finally break the duck and make it third time's the charm? Will Liverpool get a second league title in a row? Will Man City come back from their mediocrity and claim a title? Will Chelsea have a chance of making it? We will find out. Or will there be an even bigger surprise? And could we get a repeat of Leicester back in 2016? And could a dark horse sneak the whole title? We will discuss that and more in this episode of One Kick from Glory. It's so good to be back. I'm joined by Craig and Mark, and we're going to have so much fun discussing this. But I want to start off with the team that set the standard for 2024-25, and I'm going to look to do the same in this current season, and that's Liverpool. And I'm going to start with our resident Liverpool expert. First things first, before we even get into thoughts of this upcoming season, how do you feel as Premier League champions after a transitional period, changing from Klopp to Slot? And of course, it does prove your theory correct that the way to go is go bald. But how do you feel about last season?
Yeah, it's good to be back. Good to be here. Good to be chatting the new season with you guys. I'm sitting here quite happy off the back of last season. Nice to get that title in the bag, and without really much pressure. To be honest, in the end, it became a bit of a kind of walk in quite easy at the end of the season to get that across the line. So glad that we got that trophy. The Slot's kind of kicked off his time at Liverpool well, but also realising that there's still a long way to go. We lost the League Cup final. We got knocked out to PSG in the Champions League. There's still signs, we lost Crystal Palace on Sunday. There's still signs that there's a lot of work to be done, but very exciting, very happy to be Premier League champions, and looking forward to discussing more about our new signings and the upcoming season.
No, it's definitely been a great season for you back, and a great first one for Arne Slot. And just on that point, Craig, when you look at how Liverpool's season went, I think what would you say probably was, outside of winning the league, what was one thing that really impressed you of Liverpool last season?
The way how Slot got Gravenberch working in the system. When he first came under Jurgen Klopp, he wasn't really sort of in and out of the team, playing different type of position. I think the way how he transformed him last season, I found a good position for us, number 6. He really impressed me last season. I think the way how he helped some of the younger players come through as well, like Conor Bradley came through towards the end of the season when Trent was in and out of the team towards the end or injured it most of the time as well. So it kind of showed that he's very willing to give young players a chance, and his system works. So if you buy into his system, it works.
Yeah, I think that was really important. It's definitely going to be a hallmark of this coming Premier League season, is players buying into the system. And of course, Liverpool have been busy in the market. People have been asking the question, how, why, where'd the money come from? This is not like FSG, but Liverpool haven't spent much for the last few years. They do have money, and they have also won stuff. So they do have money to spend. So people shouldn't be surprised at the fact Liverpool are spending money. They could look at the players they are buying and the amount they've spent. And on that note, Mark, I want to look at your squad upgrades and the players you've brought in. How do you think they're all going to fit, and how would you rate your business to start off with so far?
Yeah, it's been a good window. Liverpool are not known for spending a lot of money and not spending big money on players. So it is good to see that the Liverpool have backed Arne Slot and said, look, we're going to go and get him the players that he wants. Arne Slot is notorious for, when he's at the clubs that he's at, going, I need my own team. I'm going to build my team. And a lot of people said, we signed Chiesa and Mamardashvili, and then sent him back to Valencia. But a lot of people said, we've not signed anything. Just wait until his first full transfer window and you'll see Arne Slot likes to put an impression down. And you look at the players that have came in and the squad that we have assembled up until this stage, and you're looking at a team that are saying, we're not resting on our laurels, we're top of the league, but everyone else is going to come back stronger, and we're going to come back stronger too, and we're going to build and be strengthened on top of, strengthening from a point of success, which I think is something Liverpool was accused of not doing so much under Jurgen Klopp when we won the Champions League and when we won the league in the COVID year, that we never really continued on to strengthen. And I think therefore there can be no question that with the signings that we made, and we'll talk about them all one by one, that we've ultimately set ourselves up to be able to compete at the highest level for the next 5 6 years. So looks good.
Yeah, you definitely have set yourself up quite well. And I think one of the big things looking into the back end of last season was, of course, the big contract situation. And we're looking at the big three, as we refer to them. Obviously, one's trotted off to Madrid. Less said about that, the better. And then, of course, you've managed to keep two of the key pieces in Virgil and Mo Salah. And I think there was a lot of talk about how that's going to play out for the coming season. Obviously, what other players you can bring in around them. And with that said, Craig, how important do you think it was that they've managed to keep Salah and Virgil, and how will that play out throughout the season? Because there's a lot of talk online about age curves and performance dips, but how do you see that playing out for next year?
I think Marcelo still continues to score goals for Liverpool. He's hungry, still wants to win trophies. It's like a kid in the playground, just wants to score and win all the time. So he'll be fine. I did worry a little bit about Van Dijk the other day against Crystal Palace. He made a rash challenge on this Marlon Sarr for the penalty. Maybe it's just because he's not 100% fit or whatever, but he's still a good leader. He's won trophies. He knows what he's doing. The Dutch captain. He's got a lot of experience. Maybe Liverpool looking to sign somebody who can play alongside him or rotate with him in some games as well. Like maybe Mark Gray from Crystal Palace has been linked, even linked to the Italian defender from Parma. I think he might be getting him down the line as well. So it'll go to show to see what they do. Maybe this season they're playing less games, not a lot of games. Maybe they'll rotate him a lot in games. Maybe they'll play him in Champions League, rotate him in some games as well. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think the reinforcements and the rumoured reinforcements are going to help a lot at the back line. I know that you have got one signing in over the line, or should be announced, I think, over the weekend. Gray, there's still talks and negotiations, and Palace are holding firm on their valuation, so that one might drag a bit. You might just defer that for a season. There's also talk about Konate and his contract situation, but we'll have to just cross that bridge. I think as much as Real Madrid is a good allure, and he might like it, I personally don't think he's earned the right to go there yet. I think as a defender, you need to be able to stay fit for a whole season. I think his injury record, to me, is not good enough to be a Real Madrid player. That's my personal view. And they already have players at the back that have injury problems. So why would they bring in another guy that's got the same issues they currently have? That's me. I think he should stay at Liverpool and keep developing. But that being said, you've strengthened up the back line with Kirkes and Frimpong. Two very attack-minded fullbacks. I think two players that will give a different dimension to your team. Lots of positives going forward. They might leave gaps the other way around, but then, of course, as Real Madrid have always showed in the past, the best way to win games is to score goals, and that might help you out. How happy are you with those two coming in, and how impressive you've been with them in pre-season, and they're playing in the Community Shield as well?
Yeah, both really good fullbacks. Kirkez is a massive improvement on Robertson, who's declining. Is the only way to look at it from last season. He's just, similar to Fabinho a couple of years ago, over a 6 month period, kind of seemed like they fell off a cliff, and that's similar to what's kind of happened with Robertson. And whether he's here and back up, or goes and Simicast stays as backup, the reality is Kirkez is number one in that slot, and I think is a very good improvement. Very good crosser, very good at getting forward. I still think he's quite a solid defender too, which I think is good to have. You need that at least one side of the fullback positions. So nice to see that. And yeah, it seems like also from the friendlies that we've seen, and from the Community Shield there, that we will push up on the right side a lot more than we will on the left. But that can be interchanged when necessary. But Frimpong was playing almost like a right winger, and I know a lot of people kind of had questions about, well, is he getting in Salah's way? This is making Salah a worse player because for 90 minutes didn't score a goal. But let's remember that Salah has not played a first Premier League game of the season and not scored in his time at Liverpool. So for all 8 years that Salah's been at Liverpool, he scored in every game week one. I'd be surprised if that's going to change. Frimpong got the lucky goal thanks to Diego Jota 20 minutes in. I think the reality is them two look very good. Frimpong's about the best you could ask for in replacing Trent, and like I say, I think that's a good strengthening to our defense.
Yeah, I definitely think he does add a lot to your team, and of course, you mentioned the 20th minute goal. I mean, watching that back, and I've seen some edits online where people have actually edited in Jota, which I think is a nice touch from fans, and we will talk a bit more about Jota and the impact of his passing and what that might mean for the team going forward. We know it's going to have an impact in the market, and it's one of the reasons why the boy up north is doing some crazy stuff, but we'll get onto that a little bit later as well. But I do want to touch on that front line. You know, you mentioned Salah, and obviously he's got this great record of scoring every Premier League first game week in, and of course you start the season against Leeds, which
Bournemouth.
Bournemouth even feel sorry for them. They've sold their whole back line and basically replaced it, so that's going to be a tough task for them. But how well do you think he's going to gel with Ekitike and of course Florian Wirtz, who I like the fact that, you know, one of the things I always find important in football is to keep relationships going. And the fact you got Wirtz and Frimpong, both from Leverkusen, both are really good friends and understand each other's game quite well, should help Wirtz settle quite well. But how well do you see Wirtz, Salah and Ekitike working as almost like your new Salah, from Firmino and Sane in a way, or Mane,
Yeah.
right, in a way?
Yeah, look, I think the thing about Florian Wirtz is he is just such a special player. And, you know, in Germany at the moment, they would see him as kind of like their golden boy. And rightly so. Like, he's wore a Liverpool shirt for a couple of preseason friendlies and the Community Shield there. And he just completely dictates everything. He's the man that controls the ball. He's the man that sits in that 10 spot and just moves things around. In the Community Shield, he created four major chances in the first 30 minutes. Like, he just gets himself on the ball. And yeah, he's a player Liverpool have missed. We've always lacked a real number 10. Maybe since Coutinho. You can maybe go back and say Coutinho was a bit of a number 10 that could quite sit in that hole and pick up the play and move it around. But I feel like Verse has got the ability to be more significant than Coutinho in the way that he texts on players, the way that he picks the pass, and he seems to be linking up really well with Salah, which is good to see. Finding him, getting the ball in through to him, and you saw in the Community Shield with Ekitike too, a few little flicks and tricks to get the ball around, and between the three of them, really playing some nice football. And look, Ekitike is exciting. The only thing about Ekitike is he scares me a little bit because he reminds me of Darwin Núñez, like
Oh.
in the fact that he's so excitable in his play that I almost am like, I need him to have the end product though consistently for me to be happy. But look, I think Baby Isak could still go either way. So we might need to get the real thing, just to cover us. So we'll see how it goes. But look, the attacking line looks good. Excited to see it come together. There might be a little bit of time for it to get used to it, make sure players are not dropping into the same spot and all of that. You see that at Man United actually with the likes of Cunha and Bruno Fernandes landing in the same spots and then going, oh crap, you're here. I need to go somewhere else. Like, so yeah, but no, I think once it gets playing and moving, it'll be very exciting.
Yeah, I don't think you're putting together a front line that's looking like the team that wants to push on, win league again, and then push on in the Champions League as well, and hopefully bring that back to Anfield. I guess for you, Craig, when you look at those front three players, do you think they need Isak? Just throwing it out there for Newcastle fans that might listen. Do you think they need him?
Yes and no. I feel that if you bring Isak into the team, I think the goals will drop for Ron Salah because Salah can score loads of goals, isn't it? So the goals would be more. The more focus on more on Isak than more on Salah, I would say. But I think that Salah would be. I mean, Isak. So Isak is a good would be as a good player. Don't get me wrong. But then, how would he fit into the slot system? That's the only issue I would have with him. How would he? And his injury record is horrendous as well. He's got a lot. He'll be missing a lot of games as well due to injury. It's not his injury. And Newcastle's missed an awful lot of games. But when fit on his day, he's one of the best Premier League strikers in the league. One of the best. Up there with Haaland and whoever else you want to put him up against. He will score goals. His goal to game record is very good. But yes, he could evolve. He could evolve Liverpool as well. Could make them a one like 100. If they do get him, he make them number one targets to win the league again. 100%. They'll definitely be the favourites to win it again. But What do you think, Marcus? Do you think he would disrupt the team ethics, or do you think he will help the team push on to win more trophies?
Yeah, I think Isak is a really, really talented attacker. And I absolutely expect that if Liverpool sign Isak, everybody will almost go, okay, look, the league title's over. Liverpool are going to win the league again. Let's pack our bags. And I think that's the type of threat you need. You need to be signing players that scare everybody else and that make you think, okay, this team are really hard to beat. So yeah, I'm excited to see if it'll happen. I'm still not convinced that we'll get it across the line because I think Newcastle are playing real hardball and nobody wants to go to Newcastle. So they're gonna have to replace him to make it happen. But yeah, we're still a long way to go, and I think that one could go down to the wire or the window. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think Newcastle are having an awful window. It's like they really are just getting rejected by everyone. And then, like, it couldn't have happened to a nicer team. Like, I'm not going to pretend that I feel any sympathy for them because I don't. That being said, though, I do find the timing of Ishak's decision very, very bizarre because you would have thought if this really was the play, why not do this back in June or early July when Liverpool hadn't signed anyone, Arsenal hadn't signed anyone, Chelsea had, well, Chelsea, but why not make it at a point when you would give the clubs that you want to go to more of an opportunity to actually get in there and have a bidding war? Like, it just feels like bizarre timing. And also for Newcastle, like, what do you do? Because Ekitike would have been a great signing for them. Obviously, Liverpool came in and took him away. And now you might end up taking two players from them, which would be ruthless, but we love to see it. Why do you think he waited so long to make the decision in terms of like where he wants to be for this coming season? Like, why wait until all the clubs have done their business before to then go and strike effectively?
I think he maybe didn't want to move to Arsenal, maybe didn't want to move to Chelsea. Maybe he's a big Liverpool fan inside. He wanted to move to Liverpool, the Premier League champions, isn't it? It could be that the reason why he didn't want to move to Arsenal or any other teams. Maybe he thought moving to Liverpool would be a better option for him. Maybe he's thinking, if I don't get this move now, when am I going to get the next, or when's the next big move in my career going to be? Because Barcelona can't afford him right now. Real
True.
Madrid can't. Real Madrid don't need any strikers right now. They already got Mbappe. They got Endrick. They got a lot. They're going to spend all that money. Newcastle want for him anyway. So maybe thinking, I've got 3 years left. I've done all I can at Newcastle. I won them a trophy. Got them Champions League twice. Now I'm just stating my career. Well, I want to win the big trophies now. So please respect my decision and let me go. Maybe he thought in his mind that if he doesn't leave now, then maybe in the next couple of seasons, you never know, it might not happen again. Look, when Liverpool bid for you once and you reject them, they won't come back to you again if you reject them once. So maybe he's thinking this is the best opportunity right now to go. So that's what he's thinking right now.
Yeah, I think that's a strong possibility. I guess for you, Mark, what's your take on the situation? Because again, I just find the timing just ridiculous. Like, do it in June, and then we can see what's really up to play for. I just think the timing is very bizarre. But what's your take on the situation? And I do feel like there's more that's going on behind the scenes that we don't know about because it's just come
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think the reality is Liverpool, especially after what happened with Van Dijk in the summer, that they were trying to sign him, and then we got accused of tapping him up, and then we had to wait till January to sign him because we basically had to just hold our hands up and admit that we was sat with him on a beach in Blackpool, tapping him up. So after that happened, I think Liverpool tend to play cautious on expressing interest. So I don't imagine the player would have actually known for sure that Liverpool were interested and that Liverpool were willing to spend the money to make that happen. And I think what's become more and more clear is that Liverpool are more and more interested in that deal and have been more and more interested in making that happen. And obviously Newcastle then decided they was going to go for Ekatike, and Liverpool were like, yeah, not going to try this one. Like, we're not going to get caught in a position where we lose our number one and number two. So we basically just was like, well, look, we're going to go for Ekatike. And then obviously we went for Ekatike, signed him, and then Isak then at that point decided, you know what, I'm going to kick up a fuss and say that I want out. But I don't know the ins and outs of it. I'm sure there's some journalists that will know a little bit more, but I do certainly think that there's things that are going on behind the scenes in that situation. And I just think he waited until he was certain that Liverpool were really serious to start kicking up a fuss and saying that he didn't want to be a part of the team anymore, and that's the only way to get out of a contract at a club is to hand in a transfer request, is to say that you don't want to be there anymore. And he's taking it even further with his latest comments by saying he'll never play for Newcastle again. So there's no real way back for him, and Newcastle are going to have to make a decision, and it'll be interesting to see, because Liverpool seem to be the only option of a club that he could go to.
Yeah, unless if Arsenal decides to do something ridiculous and buy 2 strikers in one window. But or Real Madrid decide to just flash the cash, which they always seem to have tucked away, or PSG. I mean, there's options, but I don't know if they're the options that would make sense for him. However, I think one thing Liverpool could do, which might make this deal a bit more palatable for Newcastle, is throw Ekitike on loan. I mean, stranger things have happened. It would seem like the most egregious thing to do, but look, if we're gonna rest in the big boy leagues, I would say, hey, look, apologies for earlier. I know we pinched him off you. Let's work something out. How about you have him on loan? We'll pay 120 for Ishak. You can have Ekitike on loan, and you can have first option on one of our youngsters from the academy, and just call it a day. I think that's a good deal all round.
See, I think there's a couple of players at Liverpool that Newcastle would have been interested in, like your Joe Gomez, like your Harvey Elliott. Harvey Elliott looks likely to move to Leipzig as it currently stands. But the reality is, I think Ekitike is firmly part of Liverpool's plans, and whether that is as a first choice striker, a cover left winger, a backup striker, the reality is it's a long season, and it's a long season to have a Alexander Isak who could be injured for 20% of it. So I think that's another factor in the signing of a second striker to the level of Ekitike, because they say, well, you wouldn't spend 70 million to put a player on the bench. This is 2025. Spending 70 million is like spending 40 million, and yeah, we absolutely would, especially knowing that the one main striker that we want may not necessarily be able to play 60 games in a season, but we would like to play 60 games and make the Champions League final and the League Cup final and the FA Cup final and be still competing in the league on all fronts. To do that, you need squad depth, and you saw that with Gakpo and Diaz last year, and how well they rotated in that left wing position, and between them was a world-class winger in terms of the amount of goals and assists that they brought to the table. And then Salah obviously matched that on his own because he's Mo Salah. But yeah, look, with Isak, I think he's going to leave. I just think Newcastle would be really, really brave and really, really bold to basically deny him leaving entirely, and keep him there unhappy, because he's too good of a talent for them to have unhappy, and the money would result in them being able to go and make another signing up front as well as strengthen their squad. So I think it's inevitable, but we'll see.
There's also the Saudi option, which we can't discredit, because I remember when that rumour popped up and I was like, oh, that's a bit of a random one. And then someone said, they can send him to Saudi and loan him back in, because, But
Romero, is it Fabrizio Romero? He basically says the Saudi option's not a thing. It's not going to happen. Like, he basically said you can absolutely rule out Isak going there. Like, it's just not a thing. He basically says Liverpool's the only option. The thing with Madrid is they like to spend money on free players, which is why they went for Trent and Mbappe and Konate. So they're basically just waiting for everyone to wind down their contracts, and then they just snatch them off. Even they got Alonso for free because of the clause in his deal as well. So everyone for free at Real Madrid these days. That's the new methodology for the new Galacticos.
But plus, they've already got another young striker they bought from, I think, Argentina. So I don't think they need a striker for a while. And Endrick might end up going out on loan because there's not really a space for him at the moment. So that could be interesting to see. I guess on the final thing on Liverpool, and obviously we had the tragic passing of Diogo Jota, and that has created this whole new backdrop for the season. And like we mentioned, the 20th minute goal in the Community Shield, which again really felt like Jota just applied the finishing touch to that cross from Frimpong. But for you, Mark, like, how has it been just reflecting on him not being there? And just as a fan, like, just what did Jota mean to you as a player?
Yeah, I remember sitting at my desk at work and seeing something come up about Diego Jota passing away and thinking, this has to be just some sick joke, like, and it's a real sick joke to make, but like it wasn't on Sky, it wasn't on any of the big. It was some link that someone had sent me, and I clicked it and gone, no, this can't be true. And within a couple of minutes, you see it come through on Sky and then BBC, and then you're just like, oh my goodness, this is true. Like this is unbelievable. It was devastating. I sat in my chair at work for a good couple of hours, a bit unsure what to do. Like, and yeah, it's like losing a family member. Like, because Liverpool's a big family, your football club's a big family, whatever football club you support, every football club says their club is special and their club's family, but the reality is Liverpool Football Club feels like one big family, and we've all kind of united together and gone, you know, right, let's do this for Diogo. And you know, Liverpool Football Club do not retire numbers easily or lightly. So for them to have retired the number 20 and get the mural outside of Anfield as quickly as they've done, and to handle the situation in the way that they have as a football club, I think has been fantastic. And shout out to a few other clubs as well. I heard today Chelsea was giving some of their portion of their winnings for the World Club Cup to Diego Jota's family. And, so really big shout out to Chelsea on that front. It's a very classy thing to do. My prayers are with his family, and, we pray he rests in peace.
Indeed, I mean, it can't be easier for him and for them, especially considering the wedding was so, so close to how it all happened. But yeah, and it's going to be a big loss. And I think a lot of the things going forward at Liverpool, it's one of those things where it's like you hope it has a galvanising effect, but you just know it's going to just loom everything that happens. And I just hope it doesn't become the subplot to the season, because the media narrative love to run with stuff. So we'll see how the club handle it. And I've already seen so far the club are doing a great job to look after the family, the players, and make sure that everyone knows that Liverpool are supported and we are supporting everyone. And it's going to be really important to see how things are going forward. But as we know, the Premier League is unrelenting and it never stops. And one club that are definitely going to need to do a bit more this year to get over the line is Arsenal. We've had some spicy quotes coming out from our former captain, Mr. Arsenal himself, Tony Adams, who said that Arsenal will not win a trophy with Martin Odegaard as captain, and Arteta is not really a winner. Paraphrasing the second part, but he basically implied that. And that Arteta should give the captaincy to Declan Rice. Craig, what are your thoughts on Captain Tony, who I love Tony Adams as a player. I think he is Arsenal's best ever captain, and I don't think it's up for debate. I'm saddened by how he is post-retirement. I think a lot of that is due to the fact that he never got a chance to do a significant job in the club, was overlooked for any coaching roles, and I think there's a bit of anger and bitterness over how his time ended with Arsenal. But Craig, what do you think about those quotes, and do you want to give it any airtime?
It's just clickbait, isn't it? Now everyone's talking about it.
Mm.
Everyone's talking about it now. Like everyone's talking about, Tony Adams said this about even online today. I was checking on my Arsenal WhatsApp groups I'm in. That everyone's talking about he's right. Some people are saying he's wrong. Some people are saying he's right. So I'm to a massive debate in it, basically. So, which I feel that like, at the end of the day, Odegaard's very good with the young players at the club. I saw a video today him giving Wanieri Frimpong, no, Frimmy, the guy that does the
Frimmy,
Arsenal,
yeah.
behind the scenes, yeah. He gave a signed shirt from Odegaard, gave him a letter saying congratulations on your new contract, all the best. So he's very good around the young players at the club. Like, what I need Arsenal to do this season is win a trophy, no matter what we have to win top of the season. Like, and I feel like some of the Arsenal players should be back in the team, not trying to put additional pressure on the team by saying things like, "Oh, Odegaard should be stripped of the captaincy." End of the day, he's the captain. You got to back him until the day we sell him or he moves on or he decides. This season will tell. This season will tell from his leadership what we do this season with his captaincy, what we do this season. So You know, if it doesn't work out, you can always change the captain around. But everyone also got a lot of leaders in the team. Like Gabriel can lead the team, Saliba can lead the team. You got Declan Rice, who's a leader at West Ham. You've got Odegaard, you've got Saka as the captain, Southampton, and Odegaard's not on the fit. So we've got captains all over the fit. But what we need to do is, as a team, we need to build something great and win something because there's been too many runners up, runners up, runners up. So we need to start performing as a big club and winning trophies again.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing for me going into this season. I think it's one thing, and you can argue a lot about Arteta's tenure. Has it been good? Has it been bad? Has it been progression? Has it not been progression? I think keeping the team competitive. I use the word competitive because we didn't drop out of second last season. Considering the injuries we have, is commendable. But again, like as we know from all the last few seasons, is that football doesn't wait for anyone. Arne Slot came in first year, opportunity came, took it. Man City slipped up, he went for it. We
Yeah.
made bad choices in the summer. We made worse choices in January, and it led to us ending the season with nothing to show for it. So I think they have started off this summer really aggressive. We've got 6 signings we've done so far. And
Yeah.
you look at the signings we've made. They're not signings that say, "Oh, we're thinking about the long term." They're signings for right now. You know, you got Kepa at the back. Finally, a backup goalkeeper that's actually worth having in there after Neto, who might as well not have been there. You got
Yeah.
Norgard in midfield, who I think is a very smart signing. You know, he's not as great as the players that have left, but I think he's got a little bit of Jorginho to his game with his passing, and he will bring that leadership in being a captain from Brentford. So that's another thing. You got Mosquera at the back, who's a young, promising defender who already has played in 3 positions out the back 4 and looks good in all 3. So that's very good squad depth, and there's rumours now that Kivior might be on his way to Milan because they're looking at bidding for him. Obviously, Zinchenko has had his memoir updated and talking about lack of game time, so he can move on if he wants. But then you look further forward and you think, okay, we got Madueke, who looks likely, and I wouldn't be surprised if he starts on the weekend, to be honest. And we'll get into that in a bit. But he looks very sharp. He looks very eager, and I've been very impressed with what we've got from him. And then you look, you've also got, of course, the big man up front in Gyökeres. And you've got players that are coming in, and I'm forgetting Zubimendi, but he's a guy who's come in. Not everyone, but some people were crying about, should have kept Partey, blah, blah, blah. Zubimendi's coming in 3 games. I'm like, Partey who? Partey why? Who cares about that guy?
Yeah.
So I'm really happy with the business we've done. Obviously, I still think we should do a bit more. I think there's that talk about that attacking player, that extra bit of star power, whether it be Eze, whether it be someone else. But there's definitely more to be done. I guess on that point, Mark, what's your take on Arsenal's business so far in this window? Because we have been busy, we've still got work to do, and we're looking to keep the things moving forward.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Like the signings are really aggressive, attacking the season. Zubimendi is obviously was linked with Liverpool for a long time there in that defensive midfield 6 that we was looking for, and apparently Sociedad convinced him to stay last summer, and now obviously moved to you guys. He's a terrific player. He looks so good for Spain as well, and someone who is a very talented player. So great signing. Yeah, no, I like it. Norgard's shrewd. He's not exciting, but he's just shrewd. Very, very solid signing. Someone that you just look at and go, yeah, yeah, very good business. Obviously, Gyökeres was the man. You need a man that can put the ball in the net and do so a number of times in the season, and that's what we're, as Arsenal fans, would be hoping Gyökeres could do. So yeah, no, very, very good signing, and I see Arsenal certainly being contenders for the title, and other things as well. Good signings. Madueke's good depth. Like say, again, 50 million, but at the end of the day, in this modern day market, it's kind of what you would pay for that level of player. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. But you've definitely got stronger. You've filled the gaps that cost you last season, and I think it'll be interesting to see how things play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the weekend. I'm looking forward to Old Trafford. I wish I could be there, and I wish I could be there. I can't because I just can't. But I wish I could be there because I want to drink in every bit of this season. I guess for you, Craig, looking back at the Emirates Cup game we went to against Athletic Club, I was quite impressed by the team. I felt Nico Williams for the opposition was very quiet and kept very quiet by us, and just was a bit disappointed by his lack of, just didn't really do much of anything. But how did you feel watching the team up close, and do you feel like you got a sense for what we're going to be doing this coming season with the likes of Zubimendi, with Gyökeres, and looking at what Madueke was bringing off the bench as well?
I like the partnership with Zubimendi and Declan Rice. I want them two holding in a double pivot, especially against Old Trafford. I'd love to see that formation of them two in a double pivot and giving Odegaard more space to do his thing, to roam around and do his thing. So Gokras and Saka have built up a good relationship already, and I like to see that. I have to say I like to see Madueke and Gokras made a good relationship as well because you put a good ball in the second half and the keeper made a wild card save, going headed it so hard and headed it very hard and it was going in and the keeper made a good save. So it's good to see that and like the transition as well. The one that really impressed me a lot coming off the bench was Mosquera. He was fighting guys like his Gabriel, like that centre forward was trying to go past him and he was just like going into a battle. He's not going to fit anyone in the Premier League. I'm not worried about him. So I would say, yeah, I think this season I'm very impressed with the signings, but I just said I think we do need more signings, especially if
Mm.
Kivior going. I would have to get a backup centre back for Kivior. I would say maybe another left back,
Mm. Like a different
and a
type of
left
left back.
like I like. Do you know what left back I think would be good for us? I like the guy from Fulham and
Oh, Anthony
Anthony
Robinson.
Robinson. His name.
Yeah.
I think he would be a perfect left back for how we play off transition. He can defend, he can attack. He's got good assist as well on him. He's got a good engine on him. He could do a job for us. He would be good. And I'll say a left winger because I think I think they're saying that Martinez is on the market and Trossard's on the market as well. So we'll see and I think Aston Villa's been linked with Trossard and I think they selling Jacob Ramsey's going to Newcastle, I heard today. So maybe the money they get from Jacob Ramsey, they might put a bid in for Trossard. So we'll see how that goes, how that develops anyway. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I do feel like one of those two will end up leaving. I think Martinelli, it's just like, I like the guy, but he has not developed at all. And when you think
Mm,
about the fact that when you look at Saka's development and the fact that at one point in time there was a conversation as to who's the better player between the two, there's no conversation anymore.
mm,
He's not near him. He's nowhere near him. And has good moments, and I like the player, and I want him to explode and become the player that we expect him to be. But right now, all I see is a player that just does the same things. And not in like an Arjen Robben, you know what I'm going to do, you can't stop it. It's just like, it's always head down running into the cul-de-sac. There's no, like, where's the Brazilian flair? Like, check your passport. You're from Brazil. Like, I want to see some of that into your game. And I'm not saying that to be harsh, because I think he's a player that works very hard. There's a lot off the ball, but we need on the ball quality now. And I think the time for sentiment at Arsenal, I mean, Arteta's never really been a sentimental manager with players. Like, if you're not his favourite, you're out. I know Martinelli's a player that we all rate. We love that goal he scored against Chelsea. We love the goal against Madrid was basically a carbon copy of that type of run. So he's got that in him, but we want more. And if he's going to start at the weekend, he needs to bring more, because if not, Madueke can take that left wing spot. And he
mm.
was showing us more in his cameo to affect the play than Martinelli has done. But I guess for you, Mark, looking at the Arsenal squad as a whole, which players do you think are most likely to be the ones to watch that are going to have the biggest impact on the season coming?
Yeah, well, look, I'll put it this way, and this really is a big statement for me because obviously, I'm very passionate about my fantasy football play, and I'm sitting here 24 hours before the season starts looking at my team, and my team currently has Saka in it, and my team doesn't have Salah in it. And something to do with the difference in price, but also a statement of the fact of how good I think Saka's going to be this year. I think Bukayo Saka is so special that he's literally set himself up as Arsenal's golden boy, and I think he's just gone from strength to strength. And this season, I genuinely think he'll continue to go from strength to strength. And if Arsenal could keep him fit for the entire season, and Gyökeres can score more goals than Gabriel Jesus, then Arsenal have a real good chance of competing for the title, in my opinion.
I think there's a bet on there, for Gyökeres versus Liverpool's new striker. But we'll have to wait and see if it's Ishak or if it's Giuseppe TK. But no, I think. But then on that note, do you think this is the year when Saka? Because we've had this conversation before about Saka and Salah in terms of like, is Saka at that level now? Is this the year when Saka snatches Salah's chain and becomes known as the de facto top right winger in the Premier League? And that's a big question to ask because I think Salah's body of work speaks for itself, and I expect him to still be
Yes.
the top dog. But do you think this is the season where that could shift over?
Look, I think, and the reality is, Salah is 33 and Saka is what, 24. So the difference is that I think it's heading in that direction. Saka is the one who Salah is passing the baton onto, but I don't think he's letting go of that baton easily, and I don't think he wants to hand it on. I think he continues to run with that baton pretty strongly. But is there any question that Saka is an elite footballer? No. Is there any question that Saka is in the top three wingers in the Premier League? No, I think he is. I think he's now entered into that realm, and he's produced on a strong enough level. And the only thing is, as they always say, is, it's like Harry Kane when he was at Tottenham, right? Like, best striker in the Premier League, didn't win anything. Like, so for Saka at the level that he's at now, Arsenal need to be taking that to the next level, and they need to be converting it with big trophies across the line. One FA Cup every couple of years is not good enough for a player of Bukayo Saka's level, and a team as big as Arsenal. So, Arteta has to step up now and get them across the line on one of them big trophies, whether it's the Premier League, whether it's the Champions League. Don't think either of you care which one, but one of them needs to maybe making its way back to the Emirates, and Saka needs to have his hands around one of them in the air come June, or no one's going to be happy at Arsenal.
Yeah, we have to win a big trophy this season, and I mean I've seen a lot of talk online from fans talking about what happens if we don't, and some people saying, well, I think it's ridiculous to say that Arteta needs to get fired. I think you made a really good point, Mark, and I think it's also a point that Matthew's made as well on the podcast, that it's okay to accept the fact that if, and it's a big if, Arsenal do not end the season with anything and we end up finishing second again, it's okay to say to Arteta, this is the best that you can do for us. It's not the end of the world. It's not a knock against him. I want him to complete this project and bring us a trophy. But if he can't do it, then I'm happy for what he has done. He's taken us from mediocrity on the Emery and a laughing stock to a team that has one of the best defenses in Europe, has a very good midfield, and a team that has very exciting attacking players. One of the best players in attack in Saka. You've got players like Martinelli and Trossard who can do a job on their day. You've got Jesus that when he's fit and available is exciting. You've got Havertz, who he's made reliable in sense of goal scoring. So he's done a lot to improve our team and our prospects and made us go from a joke to someone to take serious. But if he can't get us over the line, then you have to be okay with saying, let's try something different. Because it's not his job for life. He can make it his job for life if he wants. But it can't just be a case of we just accept second again. Now, obviously, there's circumstances which could change that, like second with a cup. And if it's like a couple of points off, you can have a conversation about it. But for me, I think the decision will have to be, and he himself has said he has to win this season. Like, the fans feel it, he said it, the board might feel it as well. We've gone big with our spending. The reason why we bought Gyökeres over Sesko is because we're not doing projects anymore. The time for rebuilds is over. We're going for it. And if it doesn't work out, then it's on everyone's head. But if it does work out, then it just goes to show that we made the right decision. So I'm excited with that in mind, and I like what I'm seeing from Gyökeres. I like the fact that he's been putting in the work to get ready for the Premier League, and he did some training before signing for us, and those pictures leaked online, so that's nice to see. But speaking of a team that across London, who's close to Matthew's heart, and both of our clubs, as Liverpool and Arsenal, don't really care much about them, that's Chelsea, the official FIFA Club World Cup champions. 2 claps for that. Well done, you're welcome. Craig, do you think they are going to be a title threat this season, or is it another year too soon for Maresca's children?
I feel that they're going to be a title. They're gonna challenge this season. They had a good season in the cup competition last season. They won the Conference League. and they won the Club World Cup against some good teams. Like they got Real Madrid was there, PSG that just won the treble in France, so they're playing against some good teams. So I had them as a dark horse this season to challenge, not win the Premier League once, to be in the top four reckoning. And they keep on. I want for them, they're very good at selling players as well. I'm gonna give them credit and credit's due. They know how to sell their players and get good value for money. I know they give them 8 year contract, they're for a contract, but other from that, that's another story for another day. But they know how to get value for money for players, and they buy players and sell players, and so. But they're ones to watch out for this season. I would say watch out for them this season. They could be a dark horse this season.
I guess on that, Mark, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about Chelsea and decisions they've made. They've signed a lot of young players, which is why clubs end up buying from them because they're picking up half the world's talent. But do you think that approach is a good way to go about things, or do you really feel like it's going to implode eventually with a lot of unhappy players that feel like they're just wasting their time, not really getting a chance to play?
It's ridiculous, man. Like it's like playing FIFA, isn't it? Like just signing all the players and hoping one of them works out. No, I don't have much patience for Chelsea's model, but at the end of the day, they have a lot of really good young players, and I think a lot of Chelsea's success depends upon which half of last season's Cole Palmer they get. The first half of the season, Cole Palmer was absolutely on fire. He was every week just banging in the goals, controlling the game, one of the best players in the Premier League. And then the second half of the season didn't do anything. Like I think he got one goal in 16 games or something and just absolutely fell off a cliff. And then, Cole Palmer in the World Club Cup was fantastic and dominating the games again and scored twice against PSG and looked like one of the best players against the best team in the world. So I think a lot of Chelsea's season will rise and fall on that. I don't think their defense is good enough to win a league title. I think their defense is still too weak. James gets injured a lot. Colwell's now out for the season. I don't think their centre backs are elite level. And when you compare that to the likes of Arsenal with Saliba and Gabriel, when you compare that to the likes of Liverpool with Van Dijk and Konate, compare that to Man City with the likes of Diaz, Akanji, Guardiola. I don't think their defense is good enough to compete for the league. I think they'll finish in the top four, but I don't think they'll win the league.
Yeah, I feel like it's just probably just one year too soon. I think they've got interesting pieces, and I think they will definitely cause lots of shocks in the big games, and they'll be exciting in air quotes to watch. But I just think it's a bit too soon, unless if they do make those signings at the back to really bolster up what they've got back there. I don't see it, and I do wonder if they might look to rival your approach for Mark Guehi, because that would be a smart signings from them if they did. But it's Chelsea. Don't really want to talk about them much anymore. But I do want to look at the title race in particular, because I do feel like it is shaping up to be one of the most exciting ones. So the first question to both of you is, and I'll start with you, Craig, who do you think are going to be the teams in contention for the league title?
Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea. My dark horse, I think Man United might challenge this season. They've got no European football. They've got nothing to play for, so they might challenge. They might. It depends on who other players they bring in. So I have them as a dark horse. And maybe I would say a random team. Yeah, those are the teams I can think of right now.
Mark, who's your shouts for the teams that are likely to be up there challenging for the title this season?
Liverpool, City, Arsenal.
Yeah, I don't see Man United being in contention at all. I mean, dark horse or not, I think you can't polish a turd. And no matter how much they put... I just think that their business doesn't make any sense to me at all. You have a bad backline, you have a bad goalkeeper, you don't have a midfield, and yet you put all your money in bolstering your attack. Like, okay, fine. Bremo, good signing. Cunha, good signing. Sesko, for the money, they should have worked at the back first, sorted out their back line and make sure it's going to be functional, and then fix their midfield. Because right now, Ugarte, Bruno in midfield, we're going cook on Sunday. cook on Sunday. But anyway, I just don't get it. I really don't understand the logic behind what they've done and where they've got the money from, because I thought they were broke. So, I feel for the Man United staff that have been let go the last few seasons of talking about budget cuts and everything. They've invested a lot this summer, and they want to pay another 100 million for Baleba, who I think is a good player, not a £100 million player at all. And I think they need to do a bit better scouting because of who they want to bring into their midfield. That being said, Man United, keep being mediocre. It is of no... I don't mind. I'm here for it. I'm here for you to keep suffering. Just do what you got to do. I'm not against it. But for you, Mark, what do you think about their business so far? Because, again, I just find it just strange what they're doing.
Yeah, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to form an attack that Ruben Amorim's happy with, first and foremost, that fits the style of play that he wants to play. And the likes of Garnacho has not really done it for him, and he likes his attitude, and I don't think he fits the style that he wants to play, and he fits the formation, and the club is poisoned from the core. That's the problem. It's not about who manages them or what players they have. Their structure is so poorly run, and at the end of the day, you basically stopped everyone that wasn't a football player at that club having meals in the club, when you could have basically just took £100,000 off one of the players and said, do you know what, take a week off, we'll pay for our staff. It's just a bad culture all round, and has been since Sir Alex Ferguson left. It's poison. Now, I still think they'll do well this season, and they'll do better this season than they did last season, but they finished 15th last season. So, reality is how could they do worse? Get relegated? That'd be the only way, right? So I do think they'll do better. I don't see them anywhere near a title, but they'll probably be, again, maybe competing for Champions League.
Yeah, I think they definitely need to push for those European spaces. They've got no distractions, as Craig said, so there's a lot for them to play for. And I think that might work in their favour, because no one's expecting much from them. They've basically got a free season. So why not push as high and as hard as you can to get as far as you need to get to? And on that note, let's look at the teams that have come up. Because Sunderland have announced Granit Xhaka as their new captain, so he's back. Well done. We obviously Leeds and Burnley have been very busy in the market with their signings. But I guess, Craig, when you look at the three of them, can any of them stay up? And if they can, who are you backing?
I got a soft spot for Leeds. I don't know why. I always like Leeds. I've always like their team that back in the day they had good players like Baduka, like they had players like Harry Kewell. Just like watching them players play. Like I thought they were good players. So I think maybe Leeds might pull up a little shot this season. Sunderland, they spent over 100 million on players, but I'm not sure to take them a while for them to gel. That's the problem. Need players to take a while for them to gel, and this manager, he did well last season. He got them promoted through in the playoffs against Sheffield United. So we'll see what they can do this season. Sunderland, Burnley, I don't know, man. Scott Parker done well in the Championship last season, but they lost their better players, isn't it? Like James Trafford has gone to back to Man City. They lost their defender to I think he went to Marseille. I think it was Egan, something Egan. He went to Marseille, I think. One of them French clubs has gone to. So I thought they might definitely struggle this season. I think it's going to be them. I think it's between Burnley and I think Sunderland might struggle. I think Leeds should be okay. Maybe they'll finish maybe 2 points above the relegation zone or something like that, or maybe in that position. But I think they'll stay up.
And for you, Mark, do you think any of these teams have a chance of staying up? And if so, what would be the catalyst to keep them in the league?
I think Daniel Farke at Leeds has done this before, and made quite a handful of mistakes in doing it. So maybe he's learned a thing or two, and could be prepared for the Premier League a little better this time. Maybe a little more pragmatic, a little smarter in how he handles things. So I think that gives Leeds the best chance of the three promoted teams. But I think the Premier League is so strong. Like when you look at the teams that are left, if another team's going to go down that's not the three that came up, who's it going to be? Wolves had a really good resurgent end to the season, but maybe would be one of the weaker teams. Have been poor in preseason. You know, Brentford, they've lost their best players and their coach, and a lot of people think they're going to struggle. I personally think they'll be fine. West Ham was poor last season, but Paqueta will be back with a bounce. You feel like players like Bowen and having players of that quality makes you too good to get relegated. Um, you know, so I don't really know who else would go down, to be honest, when you look at the quality of the other teams left in the league. Everton again, but again looked good under Moyes. Always notoriously slow starters, so I would expect them to be in the bottom three after the first 10 games. But you know, they may probably be good enough to stay up too, just about. And their defense is good. Tarkovsky's solid, Branthwaite's solid. If they can keep them fit, they're good defenders, and they've added a few. Grealish could be a nice, interesting little addition for some flavor to the Everton attack this season as well. And Endai is always exciting to watch. So they've got a good little team going there. I don't think, from a squad perspective, the three teams coming up are good enough unless they get on a good run and it all goes well. But I've always said you need a top striker that's going to get you 15 goals if you're going to stay up. And Leeds are still struggling to figure out who they want to play up there. Sunderland signed Mark Guiu on loan from Chelsea, and Mayanda, who's there, who again, just not proven Premier League level. And Burnley, I don't even know who Burnley have up front.
Says
Probably
it
tells
all.
you everything you need to know. I
Yeah.
know they had that guy from Tottenham that went to Sporting Lisbon, the winger, and the young kid, I can't remember his name, but he's
Uh,
now at Burnley. I just don't, I don't they've got enough firepower to stay up.
mm. And that's what matters. I think you look at the teams that have survived in the past, they've had goals. Or they've been really good at the back. Like Brentford, when they came up, they got goals and they were just solid and hard to beat. Leeds, the first time around, they just scored goals for fun. And they were, defensively, they weren't necessarily the best, but they got enough draws, they got enough wins when it mattered. So I think you're making a really good point about that defensive solidity. Nottingham Forest, again, same thing. They came up and they had a goal scorer that could get them the goals over the edge. Luton, what cost them mainly was just not getting enough goals last season. And they were close to pulling it off. The other two, well, just didn't really have it. So that's going to be really important. And speaking about goals, what's your predictions for the Golden Boot race for this coming season? Craig, what's your top three and how many goals you give expecting them to get? Or let's say top five. Let's say top five.
Haaland, Salah, Gyökeres, Isak, if he missed Liverpool. And I fancy João Pedro might be in the list as well.
Wow.
Chelsea, yeah. I think he'll
Okay.
score enough goals, yeah.
Mark, how are you looking for the top five Premier League scorers this season?
Salah, Haaland, Isak, Gorkarez. Throw an odd one out there for you, Cody Gakpo.
I'm trying to think about like other teams who've got strikers who might. Because obviously Isak's going to come down to whether he makes the move or not. And Newcastle could just dig their heels in and keep him, so that will be interesting. I think yeah, Salah, Haaland. I think Gyökeres is going to surprise people and he will be in there. Because I always look at it with Arsenal, like the chances that we create for like San Marino to score. Why would Gyökeres not comfortably get goals? And
What
I
about
think he'll do
Saka?
well. I think, me personally, I think Saka, the way how he started last season, he was hungry for it. And I think he was looking like the guy that was going to break the assist record in that one season. I think he'll be up there with numbers again. Looking at him in pre-season, that last game we watched at the Emirates, he looked really sharp. The previous game, he looked a bit like, I'm a bit concerned here. The explosiveness not there. But that last game, he looked like the Saka that we know. Dropping players, moving, shuffling. So I think he's going to be up there in terms of the numbers for this coming season. I think him, Gyökeres will be fighting to see who's the top goal scorer between them. But I want it to be Gyökeres for the narrative purposes. But yeah, I think if I was to say five, I think Haaland, Salah, Gyökeres, Saka, I think they will be in the five. And then if Ishak gets the move, he'll be in there. If he doesn't get the move, then I might back Chris Wood. Why not?
Mm.
I'm going to throw
Mm.
Chris Wood in there because he's just
Thing is,
annoying like that.
Forest have not been good attacking in pre-season. They kept 5 clean sheets in 6 games, but they only scored 1 goal. So
Yeah,
Mm.
that would worry me. I think they're good defensively, but I can see Forest having quite a lot of 0-0s, 1-0 wins, like, or maybe losing 1-0 with, a goal conceded. But I don't know that Chris Wood can replicate what he did last
last
season. But
season.
here's another interesting potential to think about, and that would be Sesko if Man U do well.
I don't know because he's not been prolific throughout his career, and I think as much as new environment, players can adapt differently, and he could surprise people. I think trends do stand, and they're a good test. You look at what people have done throughout their career, and he's not really hit high double figures throughout his career at all in any of the clubs he's played for. So as much as he's young, he's got potential. I think he'll get there. I don't think he'll get there this season. I
But if
just
you're
think it's
thinking
1 year
of
too soon.
if you're thinking maybe other players at big clubs that could be competing for titles, you're maybe looking Marmoush.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I think he did well last season, but obviously again now with knowing that it's him and Haaland who are going to be up there, that's an opportunity for him to get more goals. You could even
Mateta?
argue Mateta, Crystal Palace. He's got
Yeah.
goals in him. You could argue as well that we mentioned West Ham. You could argue Bowen because I think he's going to have to get over 10 goals to keep them in the league. To be honest with you, because I just don't know what's happened to Graham Potter. I think the Chelsea experience has really scarred him, and West Ham, they're not happy anyway. So they need something to cheer about, and he could be a shout. I mean, if you look at Wolves, you got Bryn Larson up there. He might have something to say. I mean, we can't discredit Tottenham, but I'm gonna discredit them, not mention any of their strikers. But yeah, there's players who could do something. And also
Yeah.
Watkins as well at Villa,
Watkins. Yeah, Watkins.
who he's still there. I think Man United missed a trick in not buying him, but Newcastle, I think that's a guy they should be looking at to solve their striking problems because
Yeah,
he would,
Watkins is class. Like, really, really good player. Really good player. And not only that, he also is creative. He can get assists too. So very
Mm.
good, very good player.
So I think that's going to be quite interesting to see what happens. But are there any other teams that you think are going to surprise us this season? Obviously, we've mentioned Leeds as one of the promoted teams that could be one to look out for. But is there one team that you think could have a breakout season and maybe sneak it into the top 8 from the rest of the best? Or the best of the rest, I should say. And I'll start with you, Mark.
I think Palace, building upon last season, building upon their cup win. They could even push and do very well again. Obviously, they did well to win the FA Cup and not get into the Europa League. But yeah, no, I think Palace is a really good shout if they keep Eze. Obviously that he's their talisman and a fantastic player. But interesting to see also that Mateta took the penalty while they were both on the pitch in the Community Shield, and then scored his penalty in the Community Shield penalty shootout, and Eze missed his. So that makes me wonder if Mateta might be on penalties for Palace this season too, sharing some of that kind of talismanic threat at Palace. The other thing that I will say, and I'm not gonna say they're gonna finish top 8, but I will say they might be a surprise package, is Brentford. And the reason I say that is because I think everybody expects Brentford to get relegated. They lost Embuemo, they lost Thomas Frank, they're looking likely to lose Wissa, and everybody's looking at, oh, they lost Norgard, their captain, to you guys. Everybody's looking at Brentford going, they've been stripped for parts here, like, and then they've not gone out and hired a young upcoming coach. They've hired someone from within who understands the style and the ideas and the philosophies. And and I think everybody expects them to just get trampled all over. But I think they've made a few shrewd signings. I think Kelleher's a very smart signing as a goalkeeper to replace Flecken, who left to Leverkusen as well, and another departure. And Collins is a very solid defender. And what's the name of the other striker that they have? Your man who um
Kevin Schade.
Schade, yeah, it's
Yeah.
Kevin Schade. He's a good talent, and I think he could step up into kind of the likes of Embuemo's place and become a regular player playing more than 60 70 minutes and have a real kind of step up. And I think Brentford will be comfortably safe. I wouldn't surprise me if Brentford finished 10th, ninth. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So, but I think it would surprise a lot of people. So that they would be my two teams.
mm. Who have you got, Craig?
Brighton and Everton.
Mm,
Brighton because they always sell their best players and they always reinvest in the squad. They always have to find a little rough in the diamond and able to find a young gem from somewhere around South America, around the world, somewhere, and they end up being the top hot player and they sell them for 100 million. Caicedo, Believer could be the next one. They always have to find players from all over the world and they always have to fit into that system and they do well. The reason I said Everton was they've really invested. They've got a new stadium now. They got David Moyes back, so it's like the history, not nostalgia of them coming back. And I feel that with him coming back now, they could do something. They got Jack Grealish, and they're still looking for players. They got rid of Carvet and so on. They're looking to really mount some serious pressure this season. So I'd love to see what they do this season. So yeah.
yeah, they're definitely going to be a team in contention and one that you're going to be watching out for. And we'll see what they do. I think that we could be surprised by. I think Forest, since they robbed their, anyway, since they're in the Europa League, controversially, I think they might look to build on that season and do really well. And I'm also going to back Palace. I think that they haven't really spent much this summer so far, and it's a bit disappointing. They haven't really backed the manager. I know there's been waiting to hear what's going to happen with this court case and everything, but I think they're going to need to make some smart signings to really help them push on and kick on all the way. I guess to end it, let's look at the fixtures coming up and our predictions for the score, and then we'll make our predictions on the top five and the bottom three. So starting off with Liverpool versus Bournemouth. Mark, what's your prediction for that score?
6-0.
Salah to open the scoring?
Salah hat trick. And me regret not putting him in my fantasy football team just to punish me. Yeah, no, look, I think we'll beat Bournemouth comfortably. They obviously have literally lost their entire defense and goalkeeper, and just don't seem to have really fully replaced them yet. Obviously, they got Petrovic in net, but I do think Bournemouth are gonna potentially struggle at the start of the season until they get a few reinforcements in. And I think that gives Liverpool prime opportunity to kick off the season well.
Craig, what's your take?
4-2 Liverpool.
4-2. Then Aston Villa versus Newcastle, which starts off Saturday night. Saturday football.
Draw.
Draw. Mark?
2-2 draw.
2-2 draw. Okay. Mark, what's your take?
3-1 Villa.
And then Brighton versus Fulham. How do you see that one
2-1,
going?
2-1, 2-1 Brighton.
2-1 Brighton. And for you, Mark?
Yeah, 2-1 Brighton.
Sunderland West Ham, which will be Sunderland's first game back in the big time for a long time. Granit Xhaka is captain. What's your score prediction, and will we see our first red card of the Premier League season? Had to go there.
3-3, Xhaka sent off, second half.
I actually like Granit, but you just know he's gonna get done by one of these new stupid rules. Maybe it's the grappling rule might do him in.
Gonna happen eventually, man. Someone's gonna lick him up the wrong way, and he's gonna kick them in the shins, and he's gonna be gone. Or he's gonna grab the referee by the throat or something like this season. Granite to get 3 red cards this season. That's my prediction. At least 3 red cards. And I'll go 1-0 Sunderland.
Tottenham versus Burnley at their nice shiny stadium. I'll start with you, Craig.
4-1 Tottenham.
4-1 Tottenham. And you, Mark?
Yeah, 3-0 Tottenham.
I think Tottenham should get all 3 points. Wolves versus Man City. Could we see our first upset of the season? Craig?
No, Rodri's out until October apparently. So I think Wolves are gonna win 2-1.
Wow. Mark, what's your take?
I will go 3-1 City.
Yeah, I think City have that in the bag. I mean, they took their left back from them. I don't know if Wolves have strengthened enough to overturn them. And on to Sunday, we have Chelsea at home against Crystal Palace. Mark, what's your prediction?
2-1 Palace.
Oh, Craig?
2-1 Palace.
Oh, poor Chelsea. I would love to see it. I do think they will end up winning it though, but I think it'll be a very, very close game. I think 2-1 might be the scoreline, but I think Chelsea will have enough at home. If not, that will be quite nice. Nottingham Forest versus Brentford. Craig, what's your take?
Brentford win.
Mark?
0-0.
And then we head over to Old Trafford, Manchester United versus Arsenal. So what's your score prediction, Mark? And do you think both new strikers will get their goals on their Premier League debut?
I think Sesko will probably start on the bench, to be honest. And I'll go 3-1 Arsenal. I do think Gyökeres will score.
Me too. Craig, what's your prediction?
Full house. 3-1 Arsenal.
I'll be honest with you. I really want revenge for the 8-2. I know it's been a long time, but there's just a part of me that just wants us to absolutely wallop them at Old Trafford. Like, it's not just beat them, wallop them. Because I think...
them, yeah?
Like we do every time we go to Old Trafford.
Yeah, because I feel like the 22-23 season, when they gave that weird foul on Eriksen when Marseille scored that brilliant breakaway goal, I think we need to run it back. I want Amarin to be crouching down, holding his head, wondering, why have I still got Onana in goal? Why has this guy shipped in 3 goals already? It's only been 5 minutes. Like, I want them to suffer. Because the years where we suffered under Ferguson at Arsenal, I'm sorry, it's payback time. And I want it back in blood. So I really want us to really go there and just put them to the sword. And make a statement to the league to say, look, we're not here to make up the numbers, and we're not here to be the bridesmaid this season. We're going for it, big time. So yeah, I want a big win. And I will take 3 points, but I really want a big win because as far as I'm concerned, Man United are not there. And they're there for the taking. Anyway, and last but not least, Leeds versus Everton, which could be the battle of who will stay in the league. Based on how Everton have been every year for the last few years. Mark, how do you see that one going?
2-0 Leeds.
Oh, Craig?
Just an interesting fact
Yeah.
about Everton, and we'll see what you guys think about this. In the last 2 Premier League seasons, so the first 10 games of the last 2 Premier League seasons, so 20 games, how many wins do you think Everton have had?
I want to say 3.
Correct answer is 2.
Oh, it's close. But that's actually... No, wait. That's ridiculous. 20 games, 2 wins.
2 wins.
Oh, man. That is relegation form.
So Everton notoriously start the season slow, and they need something significantly different. But there's nothing to me to suggest that there's been enough change there that quick enough they're gonna do anything other than lose a handful of their first 10 games. They get better as the season goes along. That's how they stay up, because them first 10 games, that form is literally 1 win in 10 is relegation form. But obviously they've stayed up both seasons, so they do go through periods in the season where they really get it together and they get a good run. But yeah, the early season form is horrendous.
Would this be Moyes' first full season, or was last year his first full season back?
His first full season.
First full season. I'm hoping he bucks the trend. I mean, obviously, bringing in Grealish is massive. And I think with it being a World Cup year, he wants to get back into the England squad. I think he could be the difference. Branthwaite as well would look to try and get in there as one of the centre-backs. You're right, I don't know if it's enough. They've got they've got the new striker, Thierry Bourneau, I think his name is, up front.
Barry.
Oh, Thierry Barry, sorry.
Yeah.
He could be interesting. Obviously, Beto, we know what Beto is about, and I think he'll give Leeds trouble, depending on who they decide to start between the two of them. But yeah, they need goals. There's no Decore anymore,
My
so
thing
that
with
option's
Everton
gone.
is their best player is Pickford, but outside of Pickford, who obviously I can't stand after what he did to Van Dijk, but outside of Pickford, their three best players are so injury prone, it's beyond belief. So Ndai, Grealish, and Branthwaite, you wouldn't be surprised if they missed half the season.
You just
And
hope it's not
that's the
together.
problem. That's the
Yeah.
problem for Everton. If you can keep them three fit, and they play, if you tell me them guys play 38 games in the league for Everton this season, they'll stay up, no problem. They might even do well mid-table. But them three players, if you told me they played 38 games in the season, I'd be absolutely shocked.
Do you think Everton could do a Palace and win like the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup?
Maybe it would be a good achievement for them. It would be a really good achievement for a team like Everton to do that.
Yeah. It would be ironic if it was alongside a relegation as well. But anyway, let's not throw crazy thoughts. But on that note, what are your predictions for the league table, looking at the top 5 and the bottom 3? Craig, I'm going to start with you. What's your top 5 Premier League table for this coming season and your bottom 3?
I want Arsenal to win the league. So Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Newcastle.
Okay, that's your top 5. And
Then
who's your
there's
bottom 3?
Burnley, Sunderland, Wolves, and West Ham, and Leeds.
No, bottom 3. So you said who's going to go down?
I said Burnley, Wolves, and Sunderland.
Burnley, Wolves, Sunderland. All right, Mark, what's your top 5? What's your bottom 3?
Liverpool to win the league.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on, Man City to finish second. Arsenal to finish third. Chelsea to finish fourth. And United to finish fifth. But I would also say that I wouldn't be surprised if there was 3 points between first and third come the end of the season. I think it'd be tight. I think it'll be a real title race. And it would imagine how exciting it would be if we could go into the final day of the season with Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man City all being able to win the title on the final day.
It would be exciting, but I don't want that for this coming season. I want it done either way. I want it done.
No, of course, I'd like to be 20 points clear at Christmas too, but yeah, no, I think it's gonna be a good title race because I think Arsenal have filled the gaps. I think Man City have got the players to be back, and I think Liverpool have strengthened. So I think all three of them could get 90 points plus this season coming.
Oh, it's gonna take a big effort to win it this year. Who do you think is gonna drop out of the league this season?
3 teams that came up, 3 teams go down.
Oh.
Burnley bottom. Sunderland 19th. Leeds 18th.
Oh. Yeah, I think the bottom 3. I think we're gonna lose an established team. I think one of West Ham or Everton will not be in the league come the end of the season. I think West Ham, as much as they have the firepower, I just think I think Potter is going to botch it, and it's going to be too much of a mountain to overcome. And I think one of the promoted teams are going to stay up. So I'm actually going to say bottom 3, I'm going to go for West Ham, Sunderland, and Burnley, with Leeds surviving just about. And then the top 5, I'm going to go in 5th place. I'm putting... I guess you could say, mate. No, 5th place, I'm going to say Tiny Tots. 4th will be Chelsea. 3rd will be Man City. 2nd, Liverpool. 1st, Arsenal. And that's hope rather than expectation, because I'm backing my team all the way. But that's how I think it will go. And we'll see what happens. We've got the Premier League starting off. Liverpool open it up. It's going to be really exciting to see what they do. And let us know in the comments what your predictions are for the title, for the relegation race. Is there a team we're overlooking? Could Chelsea actually do it? and win their first title? Will Mikel Arteta finally break the conversation of always the bridesmaid, never the bride? Or will Arne Slot do what we expect, or what Liverpool fans expect him to do, and win his second Premier League title in his second season? And will Pep be back, or is he a fraud, as some people call him? Not me, I don't call him a fraud, I just want him out of the league. But that's us signing out, and we'll see you all next time.
Peace.